Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how I made this gathered tier dress for my baby girl. So if you're interested in how I achieve this look, please stay tuned. Alright guys, let's get started. So I'll start off with the measurements first. As you know, this is a tier dress that will include 4 tiers. For the top tier, I measure around my daughter's chest, divide that measurement by 2, then add 4 inches and got 15 inches for the length and 6 inches wide. For the second tier, I increased the width by 1 inch and the length by 10 inches, which gives me 7 by 25 inches. I do the same for the third tier, which gives me 8 by 35 inches. For the last tier, I decreased the width by 3 inches and continue to increase the length by 10 inches, which gives me 5 by 45 inches. I cut 2 separate pieces of facing for the top tier at 4 by 15 inches and 8 separate pieces for the straps at 2 by 22 inches. The total length of the dress is 22 inches and all of the measurements include a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Just to note, you can make this dress as long or short as you like. Just remember to divide your tiers to equal your desired length, and that should include seam allowance as well. I also cut each tier in 2 separate pieces as well. Here's the first 2 pieces for the top tier, the second 2 pieces for the second tier, the third 2 pieces for the third tier, the last 2 pieces for the fourth tier. Here are the 2 pieces of facing for the top tier and the 8 pieces of strap pieces. I cut 4 pieces each of both patterns for the straps, and I'll be using just the black and white pattern for the facing. I assemble the top tier first. To do that, I grab the straps and line the 2 separate patterns together, front facing in. Then I line them all together and cut a point at one end. I separate the straps into 2 pieces again and sew around with a straight stitch, leaving the 2-inch straight edge open. After sewing the straps together, I went ahead and cut the excess seam allowance off. Then I take 1 strap at a time and grab my loop turner. I insert it into the opening and hook it onto the point at the end. Then I begin to pull the strap right side out. After pulling the strap right side out, I use my seam ripper to pull the tip of the point out. Then I push the sides of the fabric towards the seams to try and flatten it out. Then I give the strap a press. This is the prepared strap when complete, and I'll go ahead and finish the rest off camera. Here are all of the prepared straps. I've also prepared the top tier piece by lining both pieces of front facing in and sewing the sides together. I've done the same for the facing as well. Next, I turn the top tier piece right side out. I know you see me measure 2 inches from the side seam, but I adjusted that to 3 inches in and placed the strap at that point with the flower side down and the straight raw edges at the top together. Then I pin that in place. I do the same for the other side, then flip it over and line and pin the other straps to the back using the same measurement. After pinning all 4 straps, I grab the facing and pull the top through. Then I line and pin the side seams together. I continue to line and pin the straight edges together along the top. Then sew around with the straight stitch. When that's done, I cut the excess seam allowance off and flip the facing over to the inside of the top and press in place. I turn the top inside out and fold the facing in half underneath towards the seam. This will be a casing for my elastic later. Okay guys, so I didn't realize my camera stopped rolling, but we'll pick up where I left off. So I fold the facing in half underneath towards the seam and press that in place. Then I sew a top stitch along the edge around the top. Here's a closer look at that once complete. As you can see, I've already attached the second tier, and I'll show you how I did that with the third and fourth tier, as all are attached with the same method. Here's the third tier with the sides sewn together, front facing in, and now I'll sew a gathering stitch around the top, and I'll do the same for the fourth tier as well. Over at the machine, I have the indicator option for the width of the stitch, and I press the button underneath. To the right, I increase the width to the widest point at 5. Before sewing, I make sure to pull the top and bottom thread about 10 inches. This will help with the gathering later. When I get to the other side, I leave about a half to 1 inch space unstitched. And again, I pull 10 inches of thread before cutting. Next, I find the loose thread on one side, grab the thread at the top, and I begin to carefully gather the fabric, making sure not to pull the thread too hard. I also gather on the other side of the loose thread and continue gathering until I feel I've gathered enough. I take the top and turn it over so the raw end of the second tier is facing up. Then I pull it through the third tier with the gathering facing up and line and pin the side seams together. Now I begin to spread and stretch the gathering of the third tier throughout as evenly as I can to line up with the straight edge of the second tier and pin in place. Just a tip or a reminder to pin above the gathering stitch so you'll be able to move the gathering around as you're pinning. Then I sew around with a straight stitch. Here is the dress with the third and fourth tier attached. And I also went ahead and hemmed the bottom of the dress as well. Next, I sew along the bottom edge of the facing at the top, leaving a 1-inch opening. For the measurement of the elastic, I measure around my daughter's chest and took off about 2 inches. Here's a closer look when that's done. And now I have the casing for my elastic. I find the 1-inch opening and grab the elastic. Then I attach a safety pin at one end of the elastic and push it through the 1-inch opening. I continue to push and pull through until I get to the other side. Then I pull the elastic through and remove the safety pin. I overlap both ends of the elastic about a 1/2 inch and sew together with a zigzag stitch. After that's attached, I evenly distribute the elastic throughout the casing. Then I find the 1-inch opening and sew that closed with a straight stitch. Now that the casing is closed, I make sure to evenly distribute the elastic once more. And when that's done, the dress is complete. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when there's a new upload. See you in the next one. Bye.